One Miami night stranded me with him, and my heart forgot how to run. It was August 2025, and I was 23, a freelance photographer lost in South Beach's neon jungle, my camera capturing the raw pulse of a city that burned brighter than my past. My name's Adrian, and Miami was my refuge, its salty ocean breeze, thumping reggaeton, and glitter-soaked nights a stark rebellion against the small Georgia town where I'd hidden my truth until I came out at 19. Love had betrayed me once, a breakup that left my heart in splinters, so I'd sworn it off, channeling my soul into my lens, drag queens spinning under strobe lights, lovers swaying in the heat, bartenders juggling bottles like circus stars. But that night, South Beach spun a web I couldn't escape, tossing me into a tide that would change everything. The club was alive, a fevered dream of neon pinks and blues flashing like a storm, reggaeton shaking the walls, bodies weaving in a sweaty, sequin dance. I was there for a gig, shooting candids for a local DJ, my camera freezing fleeting joys, a drag queen's mid-twirl cackle, a stranger's glitter-dusted grin, a mojito glass glowing like a jewel. The air was thick with lime, salt, and the kind of freedom I'd craved in Georgia, where church pews and whispered judgments caged me. But as I stepped outside to grab my gear, my car, a rusty sedan, gave up, engine dead, stranding me on Ocean Drive. I leaned against the hood, the Atlantic's waves crashing nearby, the club's bass vibrating through the humid air, my frustration simmering under Miami's starry sky. Then he appeared, Eli, maybe 24, emerging from the neon haze like a vision carved from South Beach's soul. His blonde hair was tousled, kissed by the sun, his half-unbuttoned shirt revealing a chest bronzed by the beach, his eyes deep and turbulent like the ocean at midnight. "Need a hand?" he asked, his voice smooth, a New York edge slicing through the sticky heat, his grin a mix of mischief and warmth that made my pulse stutter. I tried to stay cool, but my heart wasn't listening. "Unless you're a mechanic, I'm stuck," I said, wiping sweat from my brow, the neon signs painting my face in electric hues. He leaned against my car, close enough for me to catch his cologne, citrus, sharp, intoxicating. "Not a mechanic," he said, his eyes locking on mine, a spark igniting in their depths, "but I'm good at fixing nights gone wrong. Let's make this one right." The club's glow bathed his face, and my breath hitched, Miami's heat kindling a fire I wasn't ready for but couldn't resist. Eli's grin was a beacon, drawing me back into the club's neon heart, his hand grazing mine as we navigated South Beach's electric chaos. The dance floor was a living canvas, neon signs pulsing like a heartbeat, drag queens in towering wigs scattering glitter like stardust, bartenders flipping bottles with a flair that rivaled the DJ's beats. The air buzzed with reggaeton, sharp with lime and musk, Miami's nightlife a vivid rebellion against the gray Georgia mornings I'd fled. Eli handed me a mojito, the glass cold, mint leaves catching the strobe lights like emeralds. "You don't dance?" he asked, his voice playful, his ocean-deep eyes daring me to step closer. I smirked, shaking my head. "I capture moments, I don't make them." But his gaze burned through my walls, pulling me onto the floor. The music thumped, a relentless rhythm, and Eli moved close, his hands light on my hips, guiding me into the beat. Our bodies synced, hips swaying, the crowd dissolving into a neon haze, the Atlantic's roar echoing in my veins. His touch was electric, his breath warm against my ear as he whispered, "You're better than you think, Adrian." A shiver ran through me, not from the chill but from him, his voice, his closeness, the way he made me feel alive. I thought of my ex, his lies that left me doubting my worth, the Georgia nights I'd spent hiding from a town that never saw me. But Eli was different, his presence a steady pulse, his smile a lighthouse cutting through my fog. He told me he was a graphic designer, in Miami for a week-long gig, running from a New York breakup that still bled. "We're both searching," he said, his voice raw, his eyes searching mine, and my walls cracked, letting him slip closer. The DJ dropped a slower track, sultry and heavy, and Eli's hand stayed, his fingers tracing my waist, sparking heat I couldn't ignore. "Why'd you stop trusting?" he asked, his voice soft but piercing, like he saw the scars I hid. My throat tightened, but Miami's energy loosened my tongue. Georgia's small-town whispers, the church that branded me wrong, the ex who'd shattered my heart with empty vows. Eli listened, his gaze unwavering, his hand squeezing mine like a promise. The club's neon wrapped us in its glow, South Beach's freedom a shield against my past. This wasn't just a dance. This was us, two lost souls finding each other in Miami's wild embrace, daring to believe in a spark that could outshine our shadows. The club's heat clung to us as we stepped onto Ocean Drive, where neon signs hummed like a chorus, palm trees swaying under a starry Miami sky. Eli and I walked, our shoes kicking up sand, the Atlantic's waves crashing in a rhythm that matched my racing heart. His shoulder brushed mine, each touch a spark that lit the dark, but fear coiled inside me. Trust was a gamble I'd lost before, and Miami's spell made the stakes feel infinite. The neon glow painted his blonde hair in pinks and blues, his eyes stormy yet warm, and I wanted to dive into them, but my past held me back. "What broke you in New York?" I asked, my voice low, needing to know the weight he carried. He stopped, the ocean's hum filling the silence, his gaze distant. "My ex," he said, his voice tight, raw. "He cheated, made me feel like I'd never be enough, like love was a game I'd always lose." His pain mirrored mine, a reflection of my own wounds. I let my story spill, heavy with Georgia's ghosts, hiding my truth in a town that prayed it away, the church sermons that called me a sinner, the ex who'd promised forever then left me to rebuild alone. "I don't know how to let someone in again," I admitted, my voice breaking, the waves swallowing my fear. Eli's hand found mine, his fingers locking tight, warm, unyielding. "Maybe we don't let someone in," he said, his eyes fierce, burning through my doubts. "Maybe we just walk together, see where this night takes us." His words crashed over me like a tide, pulling me closer, but fear lingered, sharp as the salt in the air. Could I trust him, or was Miami's magic just a fleeting mirage? We sat on the beach, the sand cool beneath us, the neon skyline glittering like a promise we weren't sure we could keep. Eli traced patterns in the sand, a heart, a wave, a star, his touch gentle but certain, his eyes holding mine like a lifeline. "I'm not him, Adrian," he said, his voice a vow, as if he could see my ghosts and banish them. South Beach's energy pulsed around us, distant reggaeton, laughter, the ocean's endless song, but my past whispered, "Don't fall too fast." This wasn't just a walk. This was a crossroads, and every step felt like a choice between hope and heartbreak. We slipped back into the club, the neon sharper, the bass heavier, Miami's heartbeat swallowing us whole. The dance floor was a living pulse, bodies swaying under strobe lights, glitter raining down like stars, South Beach's chaos a mirror of my racing thoughts. Eli's eyes locked on mine, his grin a challenge, his hands pulling me close. "One more dance," he said, his voice low, woven with promise, his blonde hair catching the light like a halo. The DJ spun a slow reggaeton track, sultry and thick, and we moved together, bodies pressed tight, my hands on his shoulders, his fingers tracing my waist, sparking heat that burned through my fear. The world dissolved, neon signs, cheering crowd, all of it gone, leaving just us, our breath sinking, our hearts pounding in time with Miami's rhythm. Halfway through, Eli stopped, his chest heaving, his eyes blazing like the ocean under moonlight. "Adrian," he said, his voice loud, slicing through the music, "I'm falling for you, and I don't care if it's one night or a lifetime, I want you." The crowd roared, mistaking it for a performance, but my world froze, his words crashing over me like a wave, washing away doubt. I thought of my ex, the lies that broke me, the Georgia nights I'd spent rebuilding my walls, but Eli's gaze was steady, a beacon in my storm. "I'm scared," I whispered, my voice trembling, barely audible, "but I'm falling too." We kissed, deep and wild, the neon exploding around us, the crowd's cheers fading into Miami's heat, sealing our truth in a moment that felt like it could outlast the stars. But as we pulled back, my phone buzzed, a text from my Georgia friend, "Heard you're in Miami. Don't get hurt again." Doubt stabbed, cold and sharp, cutting through the high of Eli's confession. His hand stayed in mine, his eyes fierce, but his gig ended tomorrow, his flight to New York looming like a shadow. Would he stay, or was this just South Beach's fleeting magic, destined to dissolve with the dawn? This wasn't just a kiss. This was a leap, and I didn't know if we'd soar or crash into the sand. The club's neon glow faded as we stepped onto South Beach, dawn breaking over Miami in a blaze of pinks, oranges, and purples, the Atlantic's waves whispering secrets that felt like ours alone. Eli and I sat on the sand, our hands entwined, the skyline glittering like a dream we clung to with every heartbeat. The air was cool, laced with salt and the faint hum of reggaeton from distant clubs, South Beach's pulse still alive even as the stars faded. What happens now? I asked, my voice barely above the waves, fear and hope tangled in my chest like driftwood caught in a tide. Eli's eyes, bright as the ocean at sunrise, held mine, unwavering, his blonde hair glowing in the soft light. I want this, he said, his voice fierce, raw, you, me, a chance at something real, something that outlasts this night. But his flight to New York was tomorrow, his life there, a job, an apartment, a world I didn't know, pulling him back like a riptide. My past haunted me, Georgia's scars etched deep, the church's cold pews, the small-town whispers, the ex who'd promised love then left me shattered, piecing myself together under a sky that never forgave. I wanted to believe in Eli, in us, but doubt lingered, sharp as the sand beneath us. We talked, dreaming under the dawn's embrace, a Miami cafe where my photos could line the walls, capturing South Beach's soul, Eli's graphic designs branding the space with neon flair, a life woven together in this city's heat. I could stay, he said, his hand squeezing mine, his voice a vow fighting the rising sun. I could build something here, with you. His phone buzzed, shattering the moment, his boss, voice sharp through a voicemail, demanding he return for a critical project, no excuses. My heart sank, the sand shifting beneath us, Miami's magic feeling fragile, like a wave retreating too soon. I thought of Georgia, the loneliness, the fear that love would always slip away, leaving me to chase shadows. Eli's eyes stayed on me, fierce, promising, but the clock was ticking, his flight a guillotine over our spark. Could South Beach hold us together, or was this just a night we'd lose to time? My name is Adrian, and this is our story, a gay love sparked in Miami's neon heat, burning bright but teetering on the edge of forever. Will Eli stay for love, or leave Miami behind? If this story set your heart racing, hit like, share with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more queer stories. Comment, should Eli stay or go? Help us hit 1,000 subscribers, your support keeps these stories alive. Chase your heat, and tell us, what's next for Adrian and Eli?